Hello, hello. I am here to share my fruit nails with you. This video is going to be about this lemon nail here. My next video is going to be this riff I did on Purple Sparkle Monsters soda pop nail with 3D grape detail. But I will get to that and load it just as soon as I can. I've been having major issues with CapCut, so if there is an easier video editing, please drop it in the comments. The pro features and CapCut trying to force you to use their pro features has been a bit of a nightmare, but we're going to get started with this lemon nail. So here we go. I used full cover tips. I scrubbed tack into the tip and cured that for 60 seconds. Then I went in with a layer of lemon lime jelly from Ellie, cured it for 60 seconds, and then this is my second layer here. And I was able to score these beautiful jellies off of Gemini Cosmetics Whatnot. So if you're on Whatnot, check out Gemini Cosmetics. They have some great deals. So I popped that in the lamp, 60 seconds, final cure. I wiped the inhibition layer off. You don't have to. Sometimes I feel the inhibition layer will help spread your product, but I'm using Young Nails new pat gels in Beeline, and it's a bright yellow, and I know what you're thinking, yellow on yellow on yellow, it's going to look like a yellow blob, but by the end, as you saw in the beginning, there's a lot of detail to the image. So I went in with Beelines. I love the mesh on the pat gels. It's nice because it helps you to pick up just the right amount, but I still tapped off on my little palette anyway. And the palette is just a tile from your local hardware store. So it was like 60 cents when I purchased it. There might be a little bit extra now with inflation and stuff, but literally just a tile from like Lowe's or Home Depot. And bear with me, I'm going to go off camera quite a bit here. So this was my first layer. I flashed it. In between each layer of pat gel, I did a flash cure, and then after I applied all my pat gel, I went in and cured in a full-size lamp for 60 seconds. But here's my next pass with the pat gels. I just wanted to give like an aura effect on the jelly nail. So it kind of had that aura effect. See? And then I just am loading up my palette right now with all the colors that I'm going to use on my design. So and I like to give them a bit of a stir, especially my gel paints. They tend to separate when they sit, so I like to go in with a toothpick or a painting spatula, whatever you've got handy, the stir and scoop from Ellie, whatever you use, and give that a little stir before you deposit it on the palette. So let me talk about the palette real quick. Like I said, just a plain tile from a hardware store, or I've seen these palettes that are paper palettes that's like a notepad where you can just peel a page off, use it, and then toss it. That's kind of my main thing, is cleaning the palette with my expensive wipes kind of makes me sad inside. So I end up using either a baby wipe to get the most of the product off, or I actually will go in with a paper towel and acetone, so I save my wipies. And acetone cleans the palette pretty good. It's almost 100% clean. And then I got some Martini Up and Rock My World in buttercream, and that's what I'm going to use for the foliage on my lemon. And then I got some primary white gel paint too for highlighting. But again, other ideas for palettes, you could use wax paper. You could cut a bunch of strips of wax paper and keep those in your art drawer. You could use foil. You could use the backing of a nail form. I do that quite often when I'm testing glitters out on colors. I will just take a backing form every time I do a set of sculpts. I will save all the backing paper and put it in my art drawer so I can just pull a piece out when I want to just try a quick design, and then just toss it in the trash. But definitely wax paper would work just as well. Regular paper, no, because it would soak into the paper. So you definitely want something with a shiny surface or a waxy surface, a finished surface of some sort that's shiny, so your paints don't seep into the paper. And then these brushes, they're my Ellie brushes. I just wanted to show this. It was a little frustrating. I had bought these, and literally a week or two after I had bought them, the caps stopped staying on the back. So I liked it when it stayed on the back because it gave me a little more leverage in the crook of my hand when I was painting. But it's not a big deal. I still use them without the caps on the ends. That's my swirly right there. And then I had my stripey out there, and I've got my #1 needle and my Young Nails detailer brush, my fine detailer brush. And that's my brush holder that my daughter Caitlin got me for, I think, Christmas or my birthday. I can't remember, but it's a really neat gift. It keeps all your brushes in one spot. I'll have to ask her where she got it so I can let you guys know, but it keeps my brushes from rolling around the desk. I highly recommend a brush holder because it just keeps them out of your way. But bear with me on this video because I am literally going to go off camera so many times. I'm so sorry. I'm still learning my camera. I'm still playing with microphones. This is my new mic I'm using. It's a wired mic. I just didn't want to deal with the recharging and all that of a Bluetooth mic, but I might get a Bluetooth one for lives once I get to that. If you are watching this video, I would highly, I'm begging you. I'm going to get on my knees right now for a minute and beg. Please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to my 50 viewers, 50 followers, so I can start doing lives, because sometimes I want to just pop on and do some of this art live with people. Right now I can only do a voiceover or I record a video. It's easier for me to voiceover right now because that way I can edit it and cut out some unnecessary stuff. But the more followers I get, even if you don't want to watch my videos, just maybe suggest me to your friends so I can get the numbers I need to go live. But so here I'm just, after I cured the Pat Gel, I didn't wipe anything off. I don't know if the Pat Gels have a dispersion layer. I haven't really touched them and checked that out. But I took my swirly brush and I just made 2 elliptical shapes, like little football shapes for my lemons. And I kind of had them in a V pattern toward each other. When you look at plants, especially lemon plants, lemon trees, our lime tree is going bonkers. We took it out of its pot and we put it in the ground and it is loving it. The lemon tree that we just bought is really, really tiny and we ended up putting it in the pot the lime was in. But when you go and look at the fruit growing, they grow in clusters. So I decided to just do 2 on this nail so I can add other elements, but they grow in clusters. Our lime tree is literally on one little branch. Some of the branches are growing 5, 6 limes. We're going to have to go in and thin it out so we get better size fruit, but they definitely group. I thought it would be visually interesting to paint them in a group of 2, like a cluster of 2. And then also when you look at the plants, plants have many stages of growth. You have the stem, you have the leaves, you have the buds that eventually make the flowers. And when the flowers open up, the petals fall off, and then the little stameny thing in the middle is what the fruit is actually going to come out of. So I wanted to try and include different elements of the growth stages on my piece. It gives it just a little bit more visual interest. So that's why I did that. But again, where is she going off camera? I don't know. I don't know. I'll get better at it, I promise. I think the grape nail that I'm going to do next, I actually was able to execute a little better under the camera. I'm trying different lenses too to see what follows me and stays a little more focused. So as I work all those details out, my videos should be getting better. It's new for me, so I'm just trying to learn and go and learn my way as I go. But so again, just creating those 2, and feel free again to fast forward through whatever, my yapping, my going off camera. Just go to the next section if you already kind of get the gist of it. But So 2 little football shapes. That's what we got with the primary yellow paint. And then this next step, I just used my swirly again, and I went in with the pastel yellow, and I added some highlights to the lemon. Basically what we're doing here is we're going to layer, layer, layer. We're layering highlights, we're layering shadows, we're layering texture. Here I'm using the tip to stipple a little and create that orange peel effect. Citrus has kind of a, we always say orange peel, but all the citrus pretty much looks the same, where it looks pitted. The skin isn't smooth, it's pretty rough textured. So that's what I'm trying to create here with the brush and the pastel yellow. It's kind of the beginning of the orange peel effect on the lemon skin. And I just went in and kept layering. You'll see me layer more yellow on top of this one and back and forth till you kind of visually get what you're trying to go for. Art is really subjective. I mean, you just, it's all up to the artist how you interpret what you see. So you just keep going back and forth until you get exactly what you're looking for or what your eye is looking at. And then I took the #1 needle, and this is just a dotting tool from Ellie that's literally just a needle point. It's a dull needle, it's not sharp, but it makes the tiniest little dots. So I went in with the yellow pastel, or I'm sorry, just yellow gel paint, primary yellow, and dropped a little few dots in the skin as well. And yeah, I went off the camera again. Shocker. But anyway, use the needle. So I used my brush, I used my needle. Later on I'll be using the brush again with some sheer Jimmy gel, the black sheer Jimmy gel, to add some texture as well. But here I'm just using that needle, going and dotting around. This needle is really good for making stars too, and just little dots around stars. It's just so fine pointed. It's like the smallest dotting tool. And you know what else works really, really well? A toothpick. If you don't have these tools, that is totally okay. You don't have to go out and buy every little tool that is made. You can really adapt things that you have around the house and the salon to help you. So a toothpick would make great tiny dots for the skin of the flesh of the lemon. So you could try that too. And then I went back in with Stripey, and I'm going to mix some pastel yellow and white together now. And when you're loading up your brush, I highly recommend dragging and pulling it through the paint and then giving it kind of a twisty motion. I don't really show that on my video, but it helps to keep the paint from balling up at the tip. Sometimes you want the ball. It could be beneficial when you're making a leaf and you want to drop it down with a lot of paint at the tip and then drag. But here I'm just using it to drag a little bit of the pastel yellow and white together, and just kind of, I roll it and pull so it doesn't get super overloaded. And then sometimes I roll it again on the palette just to discharge some. And see there, it's pretty evenly distributed on the brush, so it's not balling at the tip. And then going back in again, stippling with the tip of that brush and just adding a little bit more flesh texture to the lemons. And I'm sorry if my mouth is dry. I have literally recorded this voiceover. I'm not kidding you, this is the 4th time. CapCut added their little pro thing and I couldn't export it. So I deleted the audio, started again. I don't remember what happened to that one. I deleted it, started it again, went through the whole 37-minute video, and it disappeared. It wasn't even there. So this time I'm voiceovering and I'm making sure I don't have any of their pro features enhancers on, so hopefully I'll get through it. Here I'm taking Martini Up and Rock My World, and I honestly love to mix the two for foliage. It's a really good color. If you look at a lemon tree and a lime tree, the citrus leaves are pretty bright green. So I honestly used a little more Martini Up on the leaves than I did Rock My World. And again, the buttercreams are pretty, when you add a layer of buttercream, it's a little more sheer than a P Plus polish or the Ellie gel paints. They do get great coverage, but as you can see on the palette, it's pretty see-through. So I didn't want a heavy look to the leaves. You definitely could use gel paint. You could even use Young Nails Giant. Their green is called Giant in their gel paint, the Mission Control. For a deeper green, I would add a little black or brown or both to get a foresty green. Here I don't know, I decided to use the buttercreams. That's kind of usually what I've been grabbing for my foliage, but you could definitely use the Ellie gel paint and then maybe add some Rock My World into it to tone it down so it's not so bright green. But I don't know, I've just been grabbing Martini Up and Rock My World lately for a lot of my foliage designs. So leaves on the citrus tend to be elliptical as well, with a little bit of a point. I didn't really go in and do all the veining. They also have a very, just like our arteries, and that's the way the plants feed themselves, but they definitely have a middle line with some little arteries coming off that. I decided not to do that on this. I was just kind of going on a wet on wet technique. So I will do a little bit of Martini Up, then I'll grab Rock My World, or a mixture of the both, and then I just wet on wet it until I liked what the leaves looked like, and flash cured them in between each layer. Definitely flash cure. Like I said, if you want to flash cure, you want to flash cure, not if you want to. You want to flash cure between each thing. If you've laid something down that looks amazing, flash cure it so you don't lose it. Because then if you make a mistake, you can wipe whatever you're working on and go back, and you don't lose all your progress. And then I fully cured after I've gotten things, each step I fully cured for 60 seconds in the lamp after I like where I got it. So there's the leaves. And now I'm going in and I'm adding buds now. These are the flower buds. So on a lemon plant as well, you will see a stem growing with little buds where the flowers are going to come out. And then, like I said, in the middle of the flowers, you have the stamen, and once the flower petals drop off, that turns into the fruit. But I just thought it'd be really visually interesting to add the buds as well. It's just kind of cute too. Flower buds are adorable. If you've ever seen like pussy willows down by the water, plants that they grow really feathery and soft and fuzzy down by the water, sometimes you'll see they have like little fuzzy nubs at the tip. They're really cute, but I just wanted to add a little bit of the buds in. And you can definitely do the vine first, like the stem, and then add the buds, but I just felt like I wanted to put the buds where I wanted them. And then I went back in with my stripey right here and connected a hint of a connection, because I'm going to go back in again, you'll see in a minute, and I'm going to connect the buds to the vine with the buds always have a little green growth spout that they come out of. So I added that after, but right here I'm just getting the vine or the stem with the buds growing off where I wanted it. Flash cure it, for sure, flashy flash. And then it touches on and off just like the Young Nails one. I love it. I love that it's pink. I wish they had more colors because I would just buy from Young Nails or Gemini Cosmetics. But hey, I'm telling you, I drop everything. I drop everything. It was so sad. So I just had to have something right away. But here you're going in and connecting the buds to the stem. And that's their little growth spout that the flowers are going to come out of. And I first went in and made the connection with more Martini Up than Rock My World, so the more greener green, the more vibrant green. And then I will go back in after I flash it, and I will add a little bit of Rock My World just to deepen up those connections so they're a little more noticeable. You want it to be pretty prominent where they make the connection, so it's it's all really aesthetic and visually pleasing is what you're going for. I try to do as realistic as I can. I'm not a hyper realistic artist. I've learned a lot of these techniques from Ashley Biasella. She does a lot of, if you know Ellie, they do a power hour weekly where they talk art or product. But Ashley has done a lot of classes. She's the one that taught my bachelor degree class. And she's amazing. She's a great artist, not only on nail, but I think she draws and paints and does things on canvas too. I just can't remember, but she is an amazing, amazing artist. And I've learned a lot from her power hours about shading and highlight. So if you don't subscribe to that yet, go to their website and ask to be put on. It's a Zoom class once a week. And it's called Ellie Power Hour. Okay, so now this is Jimmy Gel Sheer Black. I don't know how this little video made it in there. I'm just showing it to you that I'm going to add to the palette. But right now, I'm just going back in with the white gel paint, and I'm going to start making my petals. So here's where you do want to use pressure and no pressure to make your petals. So you're going to load your swirly up, and then you're going to lay down a bit of pressure at the beginning of your petal. And as you pull your petal out to the end, you're going to decrease your pressure. Same thing when you make your stem. I start at the base of the stem. I put a little bit of pressure, but when I'm making the stem, I did a little more of a up and down. You're almost coming in at a straight angle, and you're using the tip of the brush to draw with, and that gives you that tighter, finer line. Right here I was using the brush to use pressure, and then as you're pulling away from your petals, soften your pressure, and that'll give you a little bit more of a pointy, like a flower petal. Just remember, when you want extra paint, you put pressure. When you want less paint, you're going to pull up on the pressure. And then I took my Young Nails detail brush, the little tiny one. This thing is literally like a few hairs thick. But I took the Sheer Jimmy Gel, the black Sheer Jimmy Gel, and this is where I'm going to start adding my low lights, my shadow effect. And I don't only use it for shadow effect on the design, but I also use it in a very small amount to outline things so they stand out more. So the flower would have just looked like a white blob if you didn't go in and lay down a little bit of shadow effect to each petal. That helped each petal to be independent of each other, so it doesn't look just like a blob. And then I used that same idea. So you see on the right side of the lemon, when I hold it upright, if you look at the right side of the lemon, it's got the highlighting on it. And then I went off to the other side, the left side of the lemons, and I added some shadow. So it gives the idea of light hitting one side and then the shadows on the other. But as you add the shadow, it also makes your picture come to life. It pops it up off of whatever you're painting on, so it gives you a little bit more of a dimensional effect. So it doesn't just look like a flat image. And then right there you saw me, sometimes I'll use my thumb or my finger to take paint away or smear it out with my gloved finger, never ungloved. But there's where I use the Sheer Jimmy Gel, the black Jimmy Gel, to go in and add more depth to the orange peel of the lemons. And then I just kind of low lighted really the nubs so they stood out more. But the Jimmy Gel did a really good job of giving that pitted look, the orange peel look to the lemon. And like I said, you can, if something is looking a little heavy, you can always use your gloved finger, just touch it really quick and it'll kind of smear it out for you or lighten up the paint a little bit so it's not so heavy. And it just kind of takes it just enough away so you get the effect you're looking for. So that's kind of what I do with the Sheer Black Jimmy Gel. Just really makes the design pop. And now I'm going in and making that little stamen center section that I was telling you about. Same thing when you're doing hibiscus flowers. If any of you have painted the Hawaiian hibiscus, it always has the little stamen stem in the middle. And so you just heavy on, same thing, same idea as with the petals of the flowers. A lot of pressure as you start your stamen, and then pull up on the pressure and it'll give you more of a pointy end to your little swirl there. And I made, which I probably didn't have to make because I could have just used the hot pink jelly that I just bought, but I decided to grab the neon pink gel paint from Ellie and I mixed it with Jimmy Gel. So if you don't have jellies, you can literally put a little bit of the neon color or the primary colors or the pastel colors into your Jimmy Gel or your P+ base, and you can just make your own jelly. Any company's colors. You could do gel polish and a little bit of base or top, anything to make a jelly. You can literally do it. It is a lot easier to just grab a jelly off the shelf, but hey man, if you don't have it and you don't have the money for it, just go. I literally sat on the jellies forever because I just didn't want to spend another 70 something on a collection, but I was able, I kid you not, I scored the whole collection of Ellie jellies for like 25 bucks on Whatnot. So that's the only reason why I did it. Otherwise I wouldn't have them. But here I literally just took neon pink gel paint, mixed it into my Jimmy Gel, and made a little bit of a jelly. And my feeling with this was, when I looked at the picture of the lemons that I had looked at online and even outside, the flowers tend to have a little bit of a blush effect around at the base of the stamen. So not so much the points of the flowers, but kind of around that little center stem is a little bit of a jelly blush, little pinky blush on the leaves. And then also I added a little bit of blush to each of the buds just to give it a little pink blush. And it just adds visual texture and interest to your picture as well. So this is it. That was pretty much the finished design. I'm going to go back in with the needle right now. You'll see me grab that. I tried the brush first, but the brush was a little too bouncy. It just wasn't giving me the action I wanted, so I decided to abandon that. But I used the #1 needle instead, and I picked up some more of the primary yellow. And just like the hibiscus flowers, right at the end of the point of the stamen, the little stem coming out of the middle of the flower, it has like little fuzzy dots, little growths that come off the stamen. So I just mimicked that with the needle and added the little dots at the end of my lemon blossom in the middle there. And just gave it that little furry, fuzzy effect. And just adding a few more dots. And that was pretty much it. And now I'm getting ready to top coat it, but before I top coat it, I want to talk about Jimmy Gel. So I want to use Super Shiny, but first I'm going to go in with Skinny Jimmy. You could use regular Jimmy Gel. It's very thick and it's a little more to work with. It would probably blob on too much product. So when I'm leveling out an image, I like to use Skinny Jimmy. You could go straight into top coat, but that's where I think some designs look a little messy. You know, if you're going to leave it shiny, you could definitely matte this and that would look killer too. Matte doesn't show as much shine. It shows no shine. So, but when you're top coating with a shiny top coat, you see a lot of the dips, peaks, and valleys of your design. So what Jimmy Gel is going to do is it's going to help, it's going to do two things. Actually, it's going to do three things. First, it's going to smooth out your design so you don't have a lot of pits and valleys. And then when you go to top coat, you don't need as much top coat to smooth that out. Also, Super Shiny is a hard gel. And P+, up until this point, I've used a P+ base. I've used a lot, other than the buttercreams, I've used a lot of soft gel in this design. So in order to top coat it with a hard gel, you know, if you know anything or been around LE, Jimmy Gel is a soft gel that acts like a hard gel. So it is soakable, but it actually cures to a pretty hard substance, so you can actually get away with putting hard gel top coat over it. So there I just put my layer of Jimmy Gel and I inverted it, and I used a little bit more string of Jimmy Gel to fill in peaks and valleys. And when you invert it, gravity helps pull it to the center and smooth out your design. You use your line of light to see if you're getting a smooth design or not. But now, because I used Jimmy Gel, I'm able to go in with Super Shiny. Had I put Super Shiny, because it is a hard gel top coat, over my P+ design, it would have cracked. Buttercream is a hard gel. I don't know about their gel paints, but this would have been too bendy and too flexy, and my top coat would have cracked. So again, Super Shiny is a hard gel top coat, not a soft gel. And Jimmy Gel helps to bridge the gap between P+ and if you want to use a hard gel top coat. So that's a cheat. The other thing, so I like to check all angles sideways, all that, but I'm inverting it again so it will pull to the center of my design. The other thing I want to talk about Jimmy Gel, or any, you could definitely, first let me just say, when you invert it, you're also adding a little bit of strength to your apex. So when that product is pulling, when you flip it upside down and gravity's helping to pull it to the center mark there, you're actually creating a little bit more structure to your nail. And that's where the impact on your artificial nails, even your real nails, when you push on your nail, you're going to see kind of a white area. That's your apex, where you want to build an apex to take the brunt of your impact. And when you invert this, you're actually going over your design and smoothing it out. So see, the line of light has gotten a lot smoother. So I think at this point I do cure that, but it just helps to give a little bit of extra structure. When you look at the side view, it's got a little bit more product towards the apex, which is going to help protect that nail from cracking, breaking off, snapping off. So again, there's my little palette, my 60-cent tile. Any hardware store, go check it out. Ace, anywhere they sell tile, you can pick one of those up. But I wanted to talk about the brush holder. Now this one is the one my daughter gave me. It's got 5 slots. It keeps my brushes and my implements from rolling around the table. I even use it when I'm doing structured manicures because I have my little liner brush out and all that. But this one I got from Young Nails. It's a crown. It's very cute, but I've only been able to get, and maybe I'm doing it wrong, I don't know, but I've been able to get a max of 2 brushes in that thing. And I guess you could, I would be so afraid that the tips would touch if you did it all the way around the crown, but so that's why I use the 5 slot one. It's very cute, but, and then here's my Flash Cure. Like I said, I got the dropsies bad, bad, bad. I drop everything. You can ask any of my clients. It's terrible. I drop everything. It's embarrassing sometimes. But it literally works just like the Young Nails Flash Cure. I know Gemini has this in black and white. It's probably branded differently. All these lights are pretty much similar, but they're all branded differently. So it's got the button, so you can switch from 60 to 30 seconds. It's got the USB-C charger on the back, and it is a touch cure, so you can touch it to turn it on and off. And it goes in its cradle, so if you're doing, I find it very helpful for a full cover tip application with builder gel or whatever. And there's your finished nail. She just came out the cooker, so I'm going to give her a scrub. And again, if you've been around LE culture, they like to say seek the squeak, and that is true. Get your cleanser on your wipe and scrub it and scrub it and scrub it till you hear a squeak. I don't know that is so true. I think even with P Plus, the soft gel, you're going to get the squeak, but definitely with the hard gel, you really get a squeak. But you want to cleanse everything very well. You want to cleanse all the inhibition layer off. If you have a no wipe, I mean, I still cleanse no wipe even because it just makes me paranoid, but I don't want anybody to get an allergy. So scrub it, and then I have them go wash with soap and water to get every last piece of residue off. Now these tips have a number, as you can see at the tip. The newer tips that companies are coming out with, they've been putting the number in the back where you etch, and I think that's so smart because then you don't have to worry about the number showing in the tip. But anytime I do a glass nail or a jelly nail or anything like that that's transparent, I will go in with tack. I'm sorry. I go in with tack because tack actually creates texture and etches the plastic tip. But I will go underneath with tack and kind of etch it. And then I go in with my top coat and I put a little layer of top coat and I flash cure it. That way it doesn't slip around. So if it was a client, I would have them flip their hands over. I would etch the plastic tip with tack on all of the nails, stick them under the lamp upside down, and then top coat, and then stick them back under the lamp. So tack, 60 seconds, take them out. Top coat, 60 seconds, take them out and cleanse it really, really well. And there's the finished product with all the top coat and everything. And I like to get a really good look at it sideways. Like I said, when you're trying to level out your top coat and your builder gels, make sure you're looking at the sides, the back, the bottom. I love it. It just gives a nice, see that nice smooth apex transition. This was no filing. I just did it all with builder and top coat. So thanks for joining me. Like I said, I will be doing the grape nail soon. Hopefully I can find an easier edit than CapCut. That really was a bit frustrating, but as soon as I get that edited, I will have it for you. Thank you.